Hi everyone and welcome to Quadrat Demonstrandum channel. This is an unscheduled episode, the appearance of which is since I am on my third day of participating in the new Matrix is shit or not shit debates. I am already quite tired and have accumulated a lot of arguments, which I decided to share. I'll tell you right away that everything in this video is only my personal opinion. According to my observations, I decided to start from the most common claims to the film The Matrix Resurrections. In the first place, by a wide margin over the competition, Morpheus is not the same. We need to understand that more than 60 years have passed since the trilogy events. Captain Morpheus is long dead, and as we know from the film, he has remained true to his beliefs to the end. Here, he is not human, or even the Captain's mind from the old Matrix. He is a nostalgic memory of Neo. That's what makes him so weird, a little funny and a little pathetic. It's the hyperpathy of Captain Morpheus through the lens of Neo's ironic perception. So it's like he's trying to be as brutal as he is, but it doesn't work out. Given these circumstances, the actor handled the role perfectly. We'll come back to Morpheus and discuss why it came out this way. But now let's move on to the second complaint in my ranking. The storyline is non-existent, indeed there is none at all. This claim is answered better than any argument by the review, which I have already begun to mount. I will try to make it as detailed as possible. For now I will say only one thing. The film's plot is excellent, and there are also hints, references, and a lot of Easter eggs. In short, everything that we love about The Matrix. Many things are very likely to be found after the movie is released on the digital media. But many things we can catch even while watching the movie in the theaters. Well, let's not rush to conclusions. Let's wait for the digital copy of the movie, the complete analysis, and make sure everything's fine with the new Matrix in terms of the storyline. Third place is taken by the sudden bad special effects and fights. The special effects as well as the fights in the film are pretty on par. Yes, Wachowski didn't drop giant alien ships on the Metropolis. But let's have some respect for the writers and performers for the fact that in 2021 many of the elaborate stunts were performed live, and computer graphics was only used where it was unavoidable. It's a beautiful continuation of the trilogy traditions, where everything was done live as much as possible too. For example, did you know that Trinity and Master of Keys were riding a motorcycle in a stream of cars, and it was real life video footage, not a CG. And in the new movie, given to the age of the actors in the leading roles, it's a straight up respectable. I have watched available online videos from the set. Some things are scary to look at. I want to suggest to some couch experts to put away their beer cans, get their asses off the couch and try to jump from a skyscraper or fly on a motorcycle at the age of 57. I'm sure that many of the authors of such reviews at that age wouldn't be able to jump off a stool. Approximately the same can be said about the action, which looks quite decent, and with the correction for age, it simply amazes the imagination. These days, superhero blockbusters have been drawing everyone in for a long time now. No one even gets their foot up about their navel. In that sense, the cast and crew have done a terrific job, and the real old school stuff is in this, not in Morpheus' wardrobe. There are complaints around the same stream that there is no epic in anything. These reviews are not enough to distinguish them separately, but they are there. It is a common phenomenon when critics complain that they have not met their expectations. But we were told clearly that this is another story. It's modern. It's for people who live in 20th of 21st century, not in 1999. I am surprised at the people expecting it to be the same. It's fundamentally impossible, and the authors definitely realized that. I assure you, trying to speculate on the images and atmosphere of the trilogy would be a failure of epic proportions, as the architect said. And it's not about the authors, it's about the viewer. The causes of disappointment are always in us, not in the object that causes that feeling. One of my subscribers made an excellent point that if the Wachowski had made a direct sequel, there would have been a howl, that they were exhausted and couldn't come up with anything new. Stool troopers would also whine about the special effects not being the same, saying it's not 99 anymore. And Morpheus would have been bad, played by Lawrence Fishburne. Aged, fat, They couldn't find someone else. Be objective honest with yourself and you'll realize that this would have been your exact claims to a straightforward continuation of Matrix trilogy. Or perhaps you are very creative and you'd be picking on something else. Fourth on the list of most common complaints, the soundtrack is terrible, there is no music. First is the brilliantly chosen song White Rabbit by Jefferson Airplane. The song was released back in 1967, which didn't prevent its lyrics from fitting perfectly into the plot of the fourth Matrix. Interestingly, the club where the song was played for the first time was called The Matrix, situated in San Francisco, where the action took place. Personally, this song stuck with me from the first viewing of the trailer, and still rolls around in my head regularly. Secondly, there is a soundtrack of 35 musical compositions. The first time I watched it, I was too immersed in the plot, made parallel notes for the review and ignored the music. But at least I didn't notice that it interfered somehow or was out of place. Everything was quite harmonious, in my opinion. My complaints rating was not entirely accurate, because with a massive gap from the competitors, all records are beaten by a simple review. The film is shit. The owners of this opinion do not bother to elaborate. And why should they? The feedback is given, who needs to sort it out? It's the hardest thing to respond to such reviews, because you don't know if the movie is even the cause. Maybe something happened to the person. Perhaps he has other things in his mind. Perhaps he didn't understand something, or this particular movie is not to his taste. We can only guess as a rule. These people are very reluctant to answer leading questions. Now I would like to turn to all the critics who have already seen the film. The best way to avoid a disappointment is not to set all their expectations to the sky level. Most negative reviews start with a personal disappointment. I didn't see that any of trailers were promising to meet the fans' expectations of the trilogy. Actually, it was made pretty clear that it would be a different story. Try to be more kind to others and try not to discourage them from watching the movie. Your first impression, in most cases, is not ruined by the movie, but by your own expectations. It's essential to understand and accept that just it doesn't hurt to know why the film is created that way. I immediately dismiss the nonsense about the Wachowskis deflated simply because, in my opinion, the film is excellent. So why isn't it the same as the trilogy? Back to Morpheus. The genius of this character, in my opinion, is that it is designed for a very broad target audience. Let's put subjective caprices and emotions aside. We, fans of the trilogy, are in our 30s, many over 40, and older people are already noticing that the world around them is becoming hard to keep up with. Deep inside, we still feel like a kid or a girl we were a long time ago. But when we look at a young generation, it seems like young people are chirping in some kind of foreign bird's language. And you just stand there and think, I'm always online, I play games, I follow trends, and I'm not only watching, I'm also posting something there, and I'm on the topic. And the younger the guys are, the more unfamiliar words are there. Anyway, any old school who has never googled a word from a conversation or correspondence with a youngster can throw a stone at me. I'm not trying to pander to anyone, but if you agree with me, please subscribe and click like button. My point is that the Wachowski, Reeves, Moss are all slowly getting older, and they are older, and unlike many of the critics, they feel it much more strongly. This new Morpheus is you and me, this 40-year-old me in bright sneakers, tight camouflage pants, and a colorful vest. It's the self-irony of the Wachowski with her eye-puking hair, Keanu with tinted grey hair, and so on. Think about it, maybe that's why he annoys you so much. Morpheus in the new Matrix is a self-ironic look at himself and a nostalgic look back in time. It's a perfect image, much better than if they made a CG copy of the old Morpheus in the same clothes and glasses. It would be pathetic and vulgar, like a grey-haired palm 60 years old man in a red sporty convertible car. For all of us, it will be better if we let Morpheus from the trilogy stay in the trilogy. He fits in perfectly there, and that's where we will remember him. At the same time, the new Morpheus has every chance to win the sympathy of young viewers. This is my own opinion, and I can be wrong, time will tell. But the fact that the redesigned Morpheus appears in a modern package, I think it's obvious to everyone. The first Matrix got everyone excited because Trinity was running up walls and Neo dodged bullets. No one wanted to make sense of it. Then someone started digging into the philosophical components, and everyone suddenly wised up. Now the history repeats itself. Only most of the people were expecting to be blown away by special effects again. But it didn't happen because the audience, unlike in the late 90s, is so spoiled with CG effects that Neo has literally get out of the screen and shake the viewer's hands to surprise him. So Wachowski, quite wisely, didn't go down that road. The new Matrix was made to be suitable for the year 2022, where it will conquer the core audience. So far, I haven't seen a single constructive negative review. Only fans of the trilogy griping about their old school and whining that they're disappointed. I personally would be disappointed to see a direct sequel with the same atmosphere. People just don't understand how silly it would look nowadays. Despite of the warnings in the trailers, many viewers were expecting a sequel, got another movie and were disappointed. But there is a difference between other and bad. The fact is that this is not a full-fledged sequel, it's a completely new movie, less serious, more self-ironic, more modern. It is designed not only for old-timers who were in theaters in 1999, but also for young people. The authors constantly break the fourth wall, which most irritates critics, but this is a different movie, which is how it was intended. In the end, the main problem seems to be that the audience went to movie theaters in hope that 17 years later the magic would repeat itself. But this is impossible, not only because the authors and actors are no longer the same, but also because you and I, their audience, are no longer the same. If you're a fan of a trilogy, be objective. At the very least, don't jump to conclusions. And most importantly, don't breed negative reviews and dislikes. It won't be long before the digital versions of the movie comes out. Bloggers and professional objective critics will work with it. Then, you will see their publications and will want to rewatch the movie. Not all of you, of course, but many will hopefully change their minds. However, if you decide to leave a negative review, and it is your absolute right, please provide arguments, be specific, because a negative review is a much greater responsibility than a positive one. So, we are given the new Matrix relevant to our present. Remember that there is always a very thin line between love and hate. And that's all for today. Please feel free to subscribe and click the like button. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.